Welcome back, guys. We are still in Unit 5, looking at cybersecurity within the iGCSE syllabus. Unit 5, the internet. Last lesson, we looked at different security threats that take place throughout the world of computing and all the different techniques that hackers use and the way that data is stolen. So now we're going to look at how we stop these security threats happening, looking at a range of solutions in order to keep us safe using computers and the internet. So obviously in 2025, there's so many different things that we need to be aware of with the use of online shopping, online banking, social media, communicating with people. All of these things, obviously, we need to keep safe. These topics in particular, we're going to look at in order to stay safe on the internet. Now, some of these you don't actually have to do. They exist within the software that you might use, and it keeps you safe without you even knowing. Okay, so that is anti-malware, firewalls, different access levels for users, privacy settings, authentication, proxy servers, and secure socket layer, or SSL for short. We need to show knowledge of all of these methods, okay, and be able to describe and explain how they might be used in a certain scenario in the iGCSE syllabus. Okay, so the first one we look at is anti-malware. Now, malware we discussed as being malicious software. Okay, so any type of software intends to cause harm, as in delete data, corrupt data, steal information. Software that does this, malware, we need to stay safe from. So anti-malware will simply get rid of it. It will scan your computer and delete any known viruses. Something that we looked at last lesson was that out-of-date anti-malware is a way that hackers find their way in. So keeping anti-malware software up to date is a method of staying safe. Okay, so not just having anti-malware, but keeping it up to date is also a method. If you're asked in the exam, how would you stay safe if you were using the internet? Anti-malware software and keeping up to date are two separate points. Next, we'll look at a firewall. So if we imagine our computer as a castle here, obviously we've got really high walls, we've got the moat, the water around the edge. Okay, so we keep unwanted visitors out. Now, a firewall isn't any of these things. A firewall we can imagine as a little security guard on the front. The reason being is that a firewall will monitor the ingoing and outgoing traffic in the network. So in terms of the castle, it will monitor people coming in and people going out. It will keep a track of who's going in and it will know if they're safe or not so they can have access. So a firewall for a computer does the exact same thing, okay? It has a set of rules if certain websites you're allowed to access, if data can be sent into your network. Okay, it's got an allowed list and obviously a blocked list. Now, these lists can be changed. You can edit them to allow certain things in or out, but firewalls in general will know the most recent viruses, hackers, and general attacks that we've discussed. It will know about them and block them from stealing your information. So imagine it as a security guard sat on the front of the castle, checking who's coming in and who's going out. It'll stop them. Are you safe? If they are, it'll allow them in. Okay, so a firewall works in the exact same way. Another easy mark in the exam if you are asked for a method on how to stay safe whilst you are using the internet. Next, we'll look at access levels. Now, this isn't only for the internet, this is for general safety and security in computing. Different users within a system can be granted different access to that system. Okay, so for example, if we take a school, your head teacher will have access to every room in the school. Okay, they will have a key and they can go wherever they want within the school. The teacher might only be able to go in their department or their own classroom. The students, although they can go in every classroom, they don't have a key to get in on their own. Now, if we take a computer system in this exact same manner, the admin or the head teacher, as we said in the school, can access all parts of a system. So if we took Windows, for example, the admin of a Windows system can change all settings, they can create new users, they can install software, they've got full control over the computer. So your teacher, for example, will have a teacher account on the computer where they're able to install software, but they can't create new users, but they still have access to the system within the school. Now, the students at the bottom will only be able to access what's on the system and they can't do anything other than that. They can't install software, they can't create new users. Different access levels, again, are a form of security because you can limit accounts on what they can access within a system. You also need to be aware of privacy settings and what you can turn on or off within a system. Although it might not sound like it's keeping you safe, something you can do is turn off some of the things listed here. Okay, so if you turn off your microphone or your webcam, it doesn't necessarily keep your data safe, but it does limit what you are putting into a system. Obviously your voice or what you look like. So that is something to be aware of. You can also prevent websites from accessing your location. You might notice a little pop-up that comes up when sites try to access where you are, and it will ask you, do you allow this site to see your location and know where about you are? So that is something else you can do to keep safe. You can prevent websites from tracking you with the use of cookies, which we've discussed, and by simply not allowing a website to keep cookies, you are not giving them any information whatsoever. So another way, guys, of keeping safe is to change your privacy settings. Next, we have authentication methods. Although these sound obvious and it's something that we do daily, again, it's another method we can have to keeping safe. Most websites or most systems that we use have a username and password. So having a strong password is obviously crucial to this, but by having a password in place is a method of staying safe. So as long as you're keeping your passwords difficult to guess and you change them regularly, that is a way of staying safe. Now, if you combine this with biometrics, okay, we take the word bio and put it with biology, any part of your body that is used to access a system is classed as biometrics. In today's world, we have things like facial recognition, fingerprint scanners in our phones. These methods obviously will keep our devices safe and secure because only you have your biometric data. Okay, so these are more secure than passwords. However, they can be expensive to implement, and there are privacy concerns in that devices have your biometric data saved, which is something to be aware of. We've also got two-step verification. You might use a username and password to log in, but then it sends you an email address with a link that you need to click on so that you can log in. Okay, so there's 2 steps to logging in. You have the username and password and also the email link that they've sent. Okay, so it's just an extra layer of security. Yes, it's slightly more complex and it's one extra step to take, but it does add security to a system. Using a proxy server is a way of keeping our IP address hidden. Now, something we discussed in a previous lesson is our IP address identifying who we are on a network. So in order to stay safe and not expose our IP address, we could use a proxy server, which acts as kind of a middleman. It acts as this middle step here. We ask the proxy server to access a website for us, and then they obtain the data before they send it back to ourselves. So that way, whatever website we are accessing doesn't send the data straight to us because they don't know our IP address. Okay, we don't give it to them, it's not revealed. So using things like public Wi-Fi, especially in an airport, is something that you need to be aware of. You are passing your IP address through the airport's Wi-Fi, which obviously thousands of other people are at the same time, which you then could potentially expose yourself to a hacker or someone who's on that system who's there to cause harm or steal information. So something else to bear in mind, if you haven't heard of a proxy server before, this is what it does. It keeps our IP addresses hidden. Okay, so another method of security. SSL is something that we don't necessarily need to do on our own, okay, but it is something that we need to look out for. Secure socket layer, okay, we can imagine as a digital lock, okay, keeps our information safe. When we communicate with websites and we pass on sensitive information, such as a password or credit card number, you want to make sure that the website that you're on is definitely safe. Now, SSL uses something called encryption, which again we've discussed in another lesson, in order to send your information to and from the website. Okay, so it scrambles it into an unreadable manner so that if anyone intercepts this data, they can't read it. So if you go to a website and buy something with your credit card details, if anyone's stolen your credit card details whilst it's on its way to the website, it would be in an unreadable format, be absolutely unreadable, so it wouldn't be the long digits that you've typed in. Wouldn't make any sense to the person stealing it. The way that we spot it is the S here in HTTPS, which we've discussed. And also you'll see a padlock or a green tick and your browser will tell you that it's safe to use. So just to finish off, if we look at the 12 keywords here, if we spot which one is a way of protecting the system and which one is a threat, and we can simply go through and tick them off. So a brute force attack is obviously a threat. Access levels is a way of keeping us safe. Anti-spyware, another way of keeping us safe. Phishing attack is a threat. Two-step verification is a way of staying safe. Malware is a threat. Firewall, stay safe. Privacy settings, staying safe. Data interception is an attack. Proxy servers, a way of staying safe. Farming, an attack. And SSL, a way of staying safe. Okay, so just to confirm, there's your threats and your ways of staying safe. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, guys, already, go back a lesson and watch the video on different types of threats because there are quite a few that you need to know. But the way we stay safe, you probably have heard most of these methods, but just in case you haven't, we've discussed proxy servers and access levels as well, because you could well be asked about these things in the exam. There is one more lesson in Unit 5, and then that is Unit 5 wrapped up. Okay, so until next time, I will see you then.